used to think love was supposed to feel certain. Not perfect, not easy, but certain. Like, no matter what happened, you knew where you stood. But that's not how it went for me. For me, love always started the same way. Strong, not loud, not dramatic, just a quiet feeling that this could actually be something. And every time that feeling showed up, I believed it. Not halfway, not cautiously. I believed it completely. And maybe that was the first mistake. Because when you believe in something fully, you don't prepare for it to disappear. You don't question it. You don't protect yourself from it. You just give yourself to it. And that did more than once. Different people, different stories, but somehow the same ending. I was always the one who stayed. The one who listened, the one who understood, the one who tried to fix things before they even broke. And for a while, that made me feel important, needed. Like I had a whole role in their life, like no one else could fill. But over time, I started to notice something. I was important until I wasn't. And there was never a clear moment when that changed. No announcement, no explanation, just a shift. Replies getting shorter, energy feeling different, conversations losing depth. And I would feel it immediately. That subtle change, that distance. And every time it happened, I reacted the same way. I leaned in more. I tried harder. I gave more attention, more effort, more patience. Because in my mind, if something was slipping, that meant I had to hold on tighter. But the harder I tried, the faster things seemed to fade. And that's when I started asking myself, why does this keep happening? Because it wasn't just one time. It became a pattern. People would come into my life, get close to me, let me see parts of them they didn't show to others. And then, slowly, they'd leave. Sometimes for someone else. Sometimes for no clear reason at all. And every time, I was left trying to understand what I did wrong. But the truth is, I wasn't doing anything wrong. I was just doing too much for the wrong people. I gave people the kind of loyalty that hadn't earned yet. I gave them my time, my attention, my understanding, before they showed me that they give me the same. And when they didn't, I didn't walk away. I adjusted. I told myself, maybe they're just going through something. Maybe I need to be more patient. Maybe if I stay consistent, they'll come around. But they didn't. Because people don't rise to your effort. They meet you at their level. And I kept meeting people who were comfortable giving less. There was one connection though, that still feels different when I think about it. Not because it lasted longer, but because it felt calmer. Like I didn't even have to earn it. We talked for hours. Not out of habit, but because we actually wanted to. There were understandings there. Real understanding. The kind where silence didn't feel awkward. That kind where conversation didn't feel forced. And for once, I wasn't overthinking everything. I just felt at ease. But that one didn't last either. Not because it fell apart. Not because you stopped connecting. But because life pulled it away. And that's a different kind of pain. Because when something ends badly, you can tell yourself it wasn't meant to be. But when something ends without ever really getting the chance to begin, you don't get that closure. You're left with possibility, with what if, and what if is heavy, because it doesn't fade. It just sits there, quietly, in the back of your mind, and it shows up at random moments, like when you hear a certain song, when you remember a conversation, when you realize how rare that kind of connection felt, or even when you smell a lotion or a perfume that they once wore. And suddenly, you're not just thinking about them, you're thinking about what it could have been. And that's harder to let go of than something that actually failed. Because it never failed. It just never got the chance. After that, something in me changed. Not in a dramatic way, but in a quieter way. I stopped expecting things to last, even when they felt good, even when they felt real. There were always this thought in the back of my mind, this is probably going to end too. And that thought, it changes how you show up. You start holding back without realizing it, or the opposite. You give even more, trying to delay the ending you feel coming. Either way, you're not fully present, because part of you is already preparing for loss, and that's exhausting. Caring deeply while also bracing yourself for it to disappear. So eventually, you reach a point where you just get tired, not of loving, but of how it keeps ending. And that's where I am now, in between two feelings. Part of me still wants it, still believes there's something out there who will match what I give. And the other part is learning how to be okay with it, learning how to sit with myself without needing someone else to fill that space. And it's not easy, because when you spend so much time connecting your happiness to other people, being alone feels unfamiliar. But unfamiliar doesn't mean wrong, it just means new. And maybe that's what this is, not loneliness as a punishment, but space as a reset, a chance to figure out what I actually need, instead of just accepting what's given to me. Because if there's one thing I've learned from all of this, it's that love isn't supposed to feel uncertain all the time. It's supposed to feel like you're constantly trying to keep something from leaving. And it definitely is not supposed to make you feel alone while you're in it. So maybe the goal isn't just to find love, maybe it's to recognize it. To know the difference between real connection and temporary closeness. Between consistency and convenience. Between someone who likes you and someone who actually chooses you. Because those aren't the same thing. And I've been accepting one while hoping it would turn into the other. I don't know what's next. I don't know when I'll feel that connection again. But I do know this. Next time, I'm not going to be the only one trying. Next time, I'm not going to ignore the signs. Next time, I'm not going to stay somewhere that makes me question my worth. Because I've done that already. More than once, honestly. And I know where it leads. So if love's come back into my life, it won't be something I chase. It'll be something that meets me halfway. Something that says, without me having to ask for it. And when that happens, I won't have to wonder if I'm enough. Because for the first time, it's finally feel like I am. And the truth is, even now, after everything, there are still moments where it all comes back. Not loudly, not all at once. Just small things. A memory, a late night, a random thought that doesn't leave. And suddenly, you're not just in the present anymore. You're back in every moment where you felt something real and lost it. And that's the part people don't really talk about. How heartbreak doesn't just leave, it lingers. In the way you think, in the way you react, in the way you hesitate before getting attached again. Because now, you've seen how it ends more than once. And once you've seen something enough times, it stops feeling like a possibility. It starts feeling like a pattern. And patterns are dangerous because they don't just describe your past. They start shaping your expectations. And when your expectations become, this is going to end anyway. You're either hold back or you hold on too tightly. There's no balance. Because part of you is trying to protect yourself. And another part of you is trying to finally make something last. And those two sides, they don't work together. One pushes people away, the other chases them. And somewhere in the middle, you get lost in between. That's why it feels so confusing. Because it's not just about other people anymore. It's about all of those experiences have done to you. Now they've changed the way you see yourself. Because after enough endings, you stop questioning them. You start questioning you. What am I doing wrong? Why do I always care more? Why does it never feel equal? Why do they always leave, but I stay? And if those questions sit long enough, they turn into beliefs. I'm too much. I'm not enough. I'm easy to leave, and I'm hard to stay for. And once you start believing those things, you don't just think them. You act from them. You accept less. You tolerate inconsistency. You excuse behavior that doesn't feel right. Because deep down, you're convinced yourself that this might be the best you'll get. And that's where it becomes deeper than a heartbreak. That's when it becomes identity. Because now it's not just I've been hurt, it's this is how it goes for me. And I need you to understand something clearly. That belief, it feels real, but it isn't truth. It's repetition. It's what happens when similar experiences stack on top of each other without being processed. Because if you don't stop and question a pattern, you'll assume the pattern is permanent, but it's not. It's just familiar, and familiar doesn't always mean right. Sometimes it just means you haven't experienced anything different yet. And there's something else underneath all of this, something quieter, something you might not even realize you're carrying. Grief. Not just for the people you lost, but for the versions of yourself that existed with them. A version of you that trusted easily, the version of you that didn't overthink everything, a version of you that believed love would just pour. Those versions of you, they're not gone, but they've been buried under disappointment, under confusion, under moments that didn't even make sense. And now, when you try to feel away again, it's harder because there's weight behind it, history behind it, and that history whispers things like, be careful, don't fall too fast, don't expect too much, or don't get hurt again. And those thoughts, they're not wrong, but if they control you completely, they don't protect you, they isolate you. Because you fully connect with someone. If part of you is always preparing for the end, and that's the balance you have to find, not shutting yourself off, but not losing yourself either. And that's hard, because no one really teaches you how to do that. You just learn through experiences, through mistakes, through staying too long, through giving too much, through realizing after the fact what you should have done differently. And yeah, that sucks. Because it means you had to get hurt to understand it more than once. But there's something important in that, because now you see things you didn't see before. You notice shifts faster. You recognize inconsistency sooner. You feel when something is off, even if you can't explain it yet. That awareness, that's not damage, that's growth. Even if it doesn't feel like it, even if it came from pain. And I know there's still that thought in your head, the one that shows up late at night, the one that sounds like, what if this never changes? What if I keep meeting people who don't stay? What if I end up alone? And those thoughts feel heavy. Because they're not just fears, they feel like predictions. But they're not. They're based on what you've experienced. No one's possible. Because your past does not have the authority to decide your future. It only has influence. We don't change anything. And that's where everything shifts. Not when you find the right person, but when you become someone who no longer accepts the wrong ones. When you stop chasing people who are unsure about you. When you stop over-explaining your worth to people who don't recognize it. When you stop staying in situations that slowly drain you. Because the moment you change that, the entire experience changes. Not instantly, not inevitably, damn it, I'm You're not behind. You're not broken. You're just in the part of the process that most people don't talk about. That part where you sit with everything, where there's no distraction, no relationship to hide in, no one else to focus on. Just you and everything you've been through. And yeah, it's pretty uncomfortable, but it's also necessary, because this is where clarity comes from. This is where patterns break. This is where you stop repeating what's been hurting you and start choosing something different. Not perfect, not guaranteed, but different. You're not the only one who's felt like this. You're not the only one who's questioned their worth because of how others treated them. And you're definitely not the only one who wondered if love just isn't meant for them. But most people don't stay stuck there. They just go through this phase quietly until one day something shifts. Not because they got lucky, but because they finally understood what they deserved and stopped accepting anything less. And when that happens, love stops feeling like a gamble. It stops feeling like something you're going to lose at any moment. And it starts feeling like something steady, something mutual, something that doesn't make you question yourself every 5 minutes. And when you experience that, everything you went through before, it finally makes sense. Not as failure, but as contrast. And the reason you can now recognize what's real and what isn't. So no, you're not stuck. You're just in between. Between who you used to be and who you're becoming. In that space, it feels lonely, but it also is where everything changes if you let it. And if you're honest, really honest, it's not just the relationship that hurt, it's the way they left behind in you. Because people think heartbreak is about missing someone, but it's not. Not entirely. Sometimes, but not entirely. You don't even miss them anymore. You miss that feeling, the version of you that existed when things were good. The version of you that didn't question everything, that didn't analyze every message, that didn't feel that drop in your chest every time something felt off. That version of you felt lighter, and now everything feels heavier. Even the idea of starting over. Because starting over doesn't feel exciting anymore. It feels exhausting. Getting to know someone again, explaining yourself again, opening up again, just to risk ending up in the same place again. And that's the part people underestimate, how tiring it is to rebuild something inside you over and over and over again. Because every time something ends, you just don't lose them. You lose time, energy, trust, and slowly, you start to lose parts of yourself, not all at once, just in small ways. You become a little more guarded, a little more quiet, a little less willing to show everything you feel. And eventually, you reach a point where you don't even recognize how much you've changed. Because it didn't happen overnight. It happened through repetition. Through moments that taught you, don't get too attached, don't expect too much, don't assume they'll stay. And those lessons, they protect you. But they also cause you something. Because the same walls that keep pain out also keep connection from getting in. And now you're stuck in this space where you want something real, but you're not sure how to let it happen anymore. Because every time we get close, there's a voice in your head that says, this is how it starts. And you hate that voice because it takes something that could be good and fills it with doubt. But that voice didn't come from nowhere. It was built from every time something started right and ended wrong. From every time you trusted and got let down. From every time you thought, this one feels different. And it wasn't. So now, you're not just dealing with loneliness. You're dealing with conflicted loneliness. The kind where you want connection but don't trust it. You want someone to stay but you expect them to leave. You want to open up but you're already preparing for that moment you'll have to close off again. And living like that, it's draining. It's so draining. constantly fighting yourself, half of you hoping and half of you bracing, and neither side ever fully wins, because life isn't that easy. And then there's something even deeper, something that sits underneath all of this. The question you don't always ask directly, but you feel it. Why hasn't I been enough for them to stay? Not enough to be chosen, not enough to be fought for, not enough to be consistent for. And even if you know logically that is not that simple, emotionally, it still feels true. Because when the same outcome repeats, your brain looks for common denominator. And the easiest one to point at is you. But here's what's hard to accept. You were enough. You were just given that enough to people who weren't capable of recognizing it. And there's a difference, a painful one. Because it means there wasn't something missing in you. There was something missing in them. Consistency, clarity, emotional availability. Oh my god, guys. I can't. Availability, there you go. And the ability to meet you where you were. And you can't fix that in someone. No matter how much you care, no matter how patient you are, no matter how much you try to understand them. You can't lose someone into becoming what you need. And that's where most of pain comes from. Not from lying, but from overextending that love into places where it couldn't grow. And the hardest part, you didn't realize it at the time, because when you're in it, it doesn't feel like overextending. It feels like commitment, like loyalty, like doing what you're supposed to do when you care about someone. But there's a line between loving someone and losing yourself trying to keep them. And you cross that line more than once, not intentionally, just gradually, until one day you look back and realize how much of yourself had given away. So now you're here, not just recovering from people, but from patterns, from habits, from ways of thinking that doesn't serve you anymore. And that takes time, more time than people expect, because you're not just healing memories, you're relearning yourself, who you are without consistency, trying to be what someone else needs, what you actually want, what you actually deserve, what you're no longer willing to tolerate. In that process, it's uncomfortable because it requires you to sit with things you're used to avoid, to acknowledge truth you didn't want to see before, to accept that some of the pain came from what you allowed, not because you deserved it, but because you didn't know better yet. And now you do. And that changes everything. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. You can't go back to ignoring red flags. You can't pretend inconsistency feels okay. You can't convince yourself that breadcrumbs are enough. And yeah, that might mean you walk away more. That might mean you're alone more often, but it also means you stop putting yourself in situations that slowly break you. And that's not loneliness, my friends. That is self-respect. And I know, there's still a part of you that wonders, when does it get better? When does it stop feeling like this? And the honest answer, it doesn't happen all at once. It happens in moments, small ones, moments where you choose not to chase, moments when you recognize a pattern early, moments when you walk away instead of holding on, moments where you start to feel okay, just being you. In those moments, they build, until one day you realize something has shifted. You're not as anxious anymore, you're not overthinking everything, you're not questioning your worth based on someone else's behavior. And that's when you know you're not the same person you were when it all started. You're stronger, clearer, more aware, not closed off, just more selective. And that's the difference. You didn't go through all of this just to end up alone. You went through it to finally understand what love shouldn't feel like. So that when something real comes, you don't mistake it for something temporary. And when that happens, you won't have to question it. You won't have to chase it. You won't have to lose yourself to keep it, because for the first time, it will meet you exactly where you are. But there's something else, something deeper than the patterns, deeper than the heartbreak, something you always admit, because it's hard to face. It's not just that you've been hurt, it's that somewhere along the way, you started expecting it, not consciously, but quietly. In the way you brace yourself when things feel too good, in the way you notice small changes before they fully happen, in the way your mind starts preparing for the end, even when nothing is wrong yet. That's not intuition, that's conditioning. And conditioning doesn't just come from one experience, it comes from repetition. From being shown over and over again that things don't last, that people don't stay, and that effort isn't always matched. So now, even when something could be different, you don't fully let yourself believe it. Because beliefs feel dangerous, hope feels like a setup, and disappointment feels inevitable. And if you go even deeper than that, there's a question sitting underneath everything. Not the one you say out loud, the one you feel. What is it about me that makes people leave? And that question, my friends, it doesn't come from logic. It comes from accumulation. From every time something ended without giving you a clear reason why. Because when you don't get the answers, you become the answer. Even if it's wrong, even if it's not fair, even if it was never actually about you. Your mind fills the gap. And the gap usually sounds like this. I wasn't enough. I was too much. I did something wrong. I always do something wrong. And the more that thought repeats, the more it stops feeling like I thought. And starts feeling like truth. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. Because one, something feels like truth. You start building your life around it. You don't ask for as much. You don't expect consistency. You don't walk away as quickly as you should. Because deep down, you don't fully believe you'll find better. So you settle for almost attention, almost effort, and almost love. And you convince yourself it's enough. Because the alternative is facing your possibility that you might actually end up alone. And that thought terrifies you more than anything else. Not because you can't be alone, but because you've already felt alone while being with someone. And if that's what connection feels like, then what's left? That's where this emptiness comes from. Not just from losing people, but from losing belief. Believe that something real exists for you. Because belief is someone will stay. Belief that you won't have to fight to be chosen. And when belief starts to fade, everything else follows. Effort feels pointless. Hope feels exhausting. Trying feels unnecessary. So you start pulling back. Not dramatically, just enough. Enough to not get hurt as deeply next time. Enough to not care as much. Enough to tell yourself, it is what it is. And when it isn't, even when you still feel everything is underneath. And this is the part no one really talks about. When you're not actively heartbroken anymore, but you're not okay either. You're just numb in certain places. Still able to laugh, still able to talk, and still able to go through your day. But when it gets quiet, when there's nothing distracting you, you feel it. That emptiness, that question that fully never leaves. Is this how it's going to be? And I won't lie to you, that feeling, it's real. And it doesn't go away overnight, unfortunately. There's no sudden movement or moment where everything just makes sense again. No instant fix that erases everything you've been through. But there is something that matters, even here. Even at this lowest point, you're aware. You see the patterns now. You feel the difference between real and temporary. version that stayed too long, it gave too much. That version didn't